Hi guys, welcome back to ArxangelRC. Today I'm going back to the Nano Talon with a quick update on the iNav 1.9 firmware and the test flights that followed. Before I flashed to 1.9, I made a backup of all my 1.7.3 settings and saved it just so I can restore most of them after that without having to go through the whole hassle from the start. After I flashed 1.9 on, and since I'm far from proficient with all of the command line interface commands, it was easier for me to just put both dumps side by side and compare them by hand, setting any params that needed to be set by copying them from the 1.7.3 dump. Not going to lie here, it took a while, but in the end it was done and I didn't have to do anything more than just type save and hit the enter key and go around to check that everything was okay. Next, I reset all of the trims on my radio, and I actually didn't copy over the adjusted iNav servo trims, but rather decided to do it mechanically for best results. I adjusted them to what I thought should be okay on the plane, charged the battery and was ready for the flight day. The forecast for the day was for sun, warmth and hurricane-style winds, but when I got to the field, that wasn't the case, so I thought I'd make the most of it and get some work done. First takeoff revealed that mechanically leveling the control surfaces actually does not result in level flight for some reason, despite the plane looking symmetrical and all. So I trimmed using the radio trims until I got a perfect level flight, then landed. I took note of where the control surfaces had ended up, reset the radio trims and mechanically trimmed them to these positions, or thereabouts, tightened everything up and threw the plane back in the air. Things were much better this time, and since it almost flew perfectly level and straight, I didn't do any radio trims. However, when I tested the angle mode, I noticed that it would point the nose slightly down and would start losing altitude. That meant that I would also have to adjust the board alignment in the configurations tab. Also, when I dropped the throttle, I couldn't help but notice that the plane nosed down too much, suggesting a nose-heavy setup. So I landed the plane, and the first thing that I did before I could forget was to adjust the control surfaces mechanically yet again. Then I adjusted the board alignment and moved the battery to the back. When I was done, it was takeoff time again, and even better this time. Now it was flying almost perfectly level and straight, but angle mode showed that the board needed more up angle in the alignment settings and that the battery had to go even further back. Took a few more flights until I could sort all of this out, but in the end it was flying absolutely perfect in both manual and angle modes, and changing between them really made no visible change in the plane's behavior, which I take is a good sign, meaning that the manual mode is finally perfectly trimmed and set up. For those who have seen my last video where iNav disarmed itself and the plane headed for the ground, well, that last part happened because of mechanically untrimmed control surfaces. If this happens now, I will just see the summary screen and the plane would keep flying straight even in manual mode. So happy with myself and what I had achieved so far, I was ready to start playing around with the Autotune mode, but since the wind was picking up already, I wasn't sure what time I had or even if such conditions are okay, but thought I'd give it a try. I rocked the plane side to side for a while, then up and down for a while longer, and then landed. Upon checking the new PIDs, I discovered that they were suspiciously low. To be honest, I wasn't sure if the plane was flying better or worse than before. It was rocking a lot either way, but the wind was picking up as well. I decided to charge up the battery and still give the endurance a chance because I really wanted to see if it will disarm in the way it happened last time. When I launched it this time, it only reaffirmed my suspicion that this plane, even with the stock motor and prop, is experiencing torque roll on takeoffs and on sharp throttle changes. Good news is that this is only in manual mode. When in a stabilized mode, it will take care of that, and also once throttle is returned to around 50%, it flies well, which is where I'll be keeping it the most. So off I went on my endurance run, and as I started to gain altitude, the wind was really getting noticeably stronger and more turbulent because the plane was getting knocked around hard. An altitude around 100 meters was proving to have the calmest conditions, as going past 160 meters resulted in severe instability caused by the wind and what I suspected were exceptionally wrong PID settings that had resulted from the Autotune attempt. I went back down to 100 meters and tried to do some more Autotune, though it didn't seem to change anything. In a few minutes the plane was shaking just as badly at 100 meters as it was at 160 meters just a few minutes before that. I did, however, get a chance to test a few other modes, including return to home and altitude hold. When I switched to return to home, the plane immediately started to climb up to try and get to the 200-meter altitude I had set before turning to home point. Since it started the climb, I assumed return to home was working correctly, though perhaps I should change that to head home first and then gain altitude. In any case, I stopped the climb for two reasons. First, it was going higher where the wind was horrible, and second, it didn't throttle up and kept it at 50%, which meant that the plane was losing speed and it did start to rock side to side quite violently. We'll have to see how I can adjust that setting so it would actually throttle up during such a climb, although under normal conditions I would have been well over 200 meters high and it would have had no reason to climb, but in a situation where I am under that, this could be a problem. I haven't been able to get the Nano Talon to enter into a tip stall and a spiral at its current weight, but I really don't want to test and see if the autopilot will manage to do that. Experience suggests that it will, and I rather like this plane even with all the shaking. At least the home arrow was working and this initial return to home behavior was correct, so I assume it is working. We'll verify next time I'm out, hopefully in calmer weather. Another mode that proved to be working rather good was the altitude hold. Even in these conditions it was holding altitude within 1 or 2 meters without causing the plane to oscillate up and down, which is outstanding. Best altitude hold behavior out of any flight controller that I've used so far. I also noticed something else that appears to have been fixed in the 1.9 firmware. With the 1.7.3 firmware, when I was making a long turn and then let go of the sticks, the plane would keep turning and moving in that direction, so I then had to move the sticks the other way until it levels out. Now with the 1.9 firmware, I flew for some 20 minutes and did some long turns, but at no point did I experience that same behavior. I think they have fixed this because overall the plane felt more reliable this time around, despite the strong winds and the dodgy Autotune results. I didn't get to try the auto launch mode, but we'll read up on it and we'll test it next time for sure. I'm really happy with the progress I did with the plane this time despite the adverse weather conditions, and I'm particularly happy with my mechanical trims and the fact that iNav seems to be getting better. On the to-do list for next time is more tuning, the launch mode and another for endurance with a fixed throttle to see if it will disarm again. If all goes well, I will do 1 or 2 more such endurances before I try sending it out far. I really need to know that it is reliable. It is funny how I don't have such reserves when it comes to the APM or Pixhawk flight controllers. I've been able to send these far even as soon as the second flight. They have proven very reliable for me over the years. I hope iNav gets there as well. Anyway, if you have found this video interesting and useful, please like, share and subscribe if you haven't already, and also hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button so you can be notified when I upload a new video. Also, consider following me on Facebook for more regular updates. All relevant items featured in this video have been linked below, and buying anything via those links will help support this channel. Another way to support me would be Patreon. The link for that is in the description as well. No matter which way you do it, all support is appreciated more than you know, and I would like to thank all who have chosen to do so. Happy flying, and until next time.